Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60.
Welcome to Soccer in 60, your Thursday afternoon footy show of record. We are brought to you today by SAC Health System. Thanks for joining us today. And you may be wondering, why is Timmy doing the intro today and not the sultry sounds of my cohort the day off? However, don't worry, he's not going to be totally missing from the show, because him and our creative director, Gunnar, have got a great interview today with Diego Fagundez, and that's going to be an interview not to be missed. However, don't fret, my friends. I do have a co-host with me today. It's our good buddy, Chris Lafferty. Chris, how are you, my friend?
Tim, hello, and thank you for having me on. I've been so excited for this. Ever since Philly asked me if I could fill in for him, I said, yes, let me do this. I've been a huge fan watching you guys every Wednesday, and I am more than thrilled now to be jumping on here on ABC 1490 AM KMET with you guys. I am so excited. Thank you for having me, Tim.
Yeah, it's going to be great to have you with you today. I know you're an LAFC homer, but we'll get past that. But you've got that smooth tenor voice, so we'll be all right.
Hey, but Tim, you know what brings us together? They call you Tiki Tim, and I fashioned myself a good Hawaiian shirt myself, so I think we'll get along just fine for this episode.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to the event with you, buddy. And you know what? We're not going to get to LAFC next. I'm just so happy that you're here with us, Chris. It's going to be a fun day. I put on my tiki shirt today because it is summertime. I've got a favorite tiki mug. Good to see you being part of the party.
Thanks, Tim. You know what? I'm always happy to be here for the party, but let's handle business too while we're at it. And the first thing I want to do is read us for our sponsors here, Omnitrans. Experience the thrill of the game day with Omnitrans in partnership with the Strykers. Now, be in the heart of the action at Toyota Arena and let us take care of the ride. That's right. Heading down to the game, we'll hop aboard Omnitrans for a seamless journey to Toyota Arena. Simply download the Transit app to catch your bus and enjoy a stress-free trip to cheer on the Strykers.
Well done, young man. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
I like that. Hey, let's move on to LAFC. And it's Bawanga, Bawanga, Bawanga. And some Nate Ordaz and a little Javairo too. But
a few other names here and there, but I'll tell you what, everything that LAFC does has the name Denny Bawanga attached to it. So last night actually was the game for LAFC. After a little bit of a layover that they weren't expecting, layoff that they weren't expecting, but they were coming into last night with a 7-5-5 record, coming off a loss last weekend to a familiar name you'll be hearing a lot on this show, Vancouver. And they were at home for that one. And after the match, Steve Cherundolo was not happy with a lot of the things that he saw, and he wanted to really use this past week to fix a lot of those mistakes that they were making in that game, which led to that 1-0 loss against Vancouver last week. They spent the time fixing him, and they also had a little bit of extra time to prepare and rest coming into last night's game against Colorado, because unfortunately last Saturday's game was postponed. That was the game that was supposed to take place in Austin, and I think we've all seen the horrific flooding that's happening down there. Absolutely heartbreaking. Puts in perspective when all we had to do was worry about missing a match, but with everything going on down there, our hearts go out. But that did give LAFC a little bit of a break that they much needed, especially with a congested schedule coming up. But last night, LAFC had two things going their way in the match, Tim, which turned out to be a good one for them. And let's say the first one that they had going for them was the power of friendship. That's right. Last night at BMO Stadium was the most beloved Hello Kitty night. Definitely a fan favorite. I unfortunately did not get to attend it because of an emergency that came up last minute. But from what I saw, everybody was just thrilled, and lines were forming hours and hours before the gates even opened for for people to get their Hello Kitty dolls and popcorn buckets. But
Yeah, and let me jump in here real quick, Chris. Philly was at that game last night, and if you catch him on Instagram, you got to fill him. He's at Philomonster. He had the full Hello Kitty kit on. He had his jersey on. He had the Hello Kitty. He's in the press conference with it, the pregame presser before it. It was fantastic to see Philly fully repping out Hello Kitty, buddy.
Yeah, Tim, and for all the people viewing us on YouTube today, if you aren't sure what I'm talking about, I borrowed this from a friend of mine, and
friend.
An impairment. Yeah, friend.
It's yours.
Yeah, but you know what, Tim? What a game it was! Like getting down to the brass tacks of it all. Not just I tell everybody, LAFC doesn't need a lot of theme nights or things to get the crowd going, because the experience itself is centered around just the atmosphere at BMO Stadium. And man, did LAFC bring it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was fantastic. I mean, LA comes into this game 9-0 all time against the Colorado Rapids with a +24 goal differential. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. LAFC just owns them. And, I'm going to say something about this. And in the 6th minute, Colorado is just dumb. I mean, this is just dumb. On a nothing ball, Jackson Travis comes in high on Sergei Palencia and just cleans him out with no chance at all. And the referee on this one, brilliant. He runs right over, straight red. And you know what I found very fascinating? Nobody worried about it. Nobody on Colorado went up, complained, didn't do anything. They just said, yep, Jackson, he's a dope, and he deserved this straight red without a doubt.
Yeah, sometimes you got to just take them on the chin, which is actually what Palencia did with that, took an elbow to the chin. But no, and that was the second thing that I was going to mention LAFC had going for them was just, a handful of minutes into the match. Already they have a man advantage. So things are looking good, not only given the history against Colorado, but then the circumstances at hand right in the moment. And I'll tell you what, from the beginning, all those things that Steve Cherundolo wanted them to work on with the low block and just pressing high and really attacking is something that they got to work on immediately. And you know what is the best thing about this? In the past few weeks, LAFC has seen a lot of turnover on their roster with guys like Cengiz Ünder, Olivier Giroud, both leaving the club. Their contracts ending. And then also Marlon, one of our top defenders, also leaving, kind of a surprise move. So there was a little bit of a state of flux with the roster. So you're wondering, how are they going to work together? What's the chemistry going to be like? But also it opened up the door for a lot of players to come in and make their name known. So you obviously got guys like Denis Bouanga, who were going to come in and, really take advantage of things, as we knew. And in the 41st minute, man, that's all it took for Denis Bouanga to put his name up on the score sheet there. Getting a penalty, obviously he was making his way into that box there. And, well, the only thing they can do to stop that man was trip him. So
and both guys tripped him.
Yeah, two guys to trip him, and that barely worked. But no, anyway, so 41st minute, that's when you see the first goal, LAFC striking first, and then you've got Denis Bouanga taking a penalty kick himself for Tim, his 50th goal in MLS.
Yeah, and 50 goals. This is unbelievable. I mean, they make a big deal about this. It was all over social media this morning. He was getting nothing but accolades, and these are regular season goals. Yep. I mean, to put up 50 markers in the regular season, it's just an incredible statistic line that Denny has put up, and he's been the cornerstone to this team, and it's to see him get that, especially on a PK when he just roofs it on the guy. Denny is just a different kind of player, and he feeds off of that. And you see it the rest of the game too, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, the thing about Denis is, yes, he's the star. Yes, he's the one who makes the shots. Yes, he's the one who gets the shots. But the beauty about Denis Bouanga's game is that he not only has the ability to get through anybody on defense, but also, man, that guy can find his teammates and set them up for opportunities, which is something that gets overlooked a lot with his ability to find his teammates and set up assists for them. I think that's something that was on full display last night between Denis Bouanga and another guy that I want to highlight from last night's match, who I predicted going into it was going to have a big impact on this match, just based on all the openings that I had talked about earlier with the roster changes, was Ryan Hollingshead. Both of those guys were really the catalyst for making sure that these opportunities and shots on goal were going to start happening for us. And Denis Bouanga doing a great job finding early in the second half to get our friend Nathan Ordaz to get a goal. Nathan Ordaz had a pretty lucky goal, a little kind of Johnny in the spot. With this.
I think you find your own luck there, Chris. And I think place, right time. Come on, man. Give Nate Ordaz, friend of the show, a little bit of love, buddy.
Oh, hey, look, here's the thing about Ordaz. The guy is a hard charger out there, but sometimes all it takes is just standing in the right spot, and that's what he did. So he was able to find his second goal of the he was finding LAFC's second goal of the evening off a beautiful pass from Bouanga into the middle. Originally found newcomer Javiero Del Rosen, who just goes by Javiero. And he was, it was great because it was good to see the new guy getting shots off, and it was blocked by Colorado, but right there to poke it in off the rebound was Ordaz. So, man, I got to say, awesome job from Ordaz. But then you'd hear more from Javiero later on in the match because, man, look, he finds himself on the score sheet with a beautiful assist from Timothy Tillman in the midfield. So again, my takeaway from the game was everybody was just spreading the love around last night, and it didn't have, and not just because of Hello Kitty.
Hey, let's take a look ahead, man. They got a quick turnaround. They play Saturday night at home, at least. So this is going to be against Dallas at 7:30 at BMO. What do you think about Dallas? I mean, Dallas is coming off a game that they could have won the other night. They had a couple of posts, but Shaq Moore at the right back he's gonna have his hands full with Bouanga, don't you think?
Yeah, look, anybody coming up is going to have a problem with Bouanga, but I think what we saw last night against Colorado, who's having a particularly decent and maybe surprisingly better season than a lot of people would have pegged them for. I think that that's kind of a foreshadow of what's going to come against Dallas. I mean, look, here's the thing. This is also a match that LAFC knows with a congested schedule ahead. They're going to have to handle their business at home against teams like FC Dallas, who are coming in, in 13th place in the West. That's a game that on paper you should win. And I think with LAFC finding their form, now is going to be the time where they just have no choice but to do it.
Yeah, you're right. If they don't handle business against FC Dallas, this is going to be kind of like what they did against the Galaxy. You know, the Galaxy had been playing better, a little better form, but LAFC should have beaten the Galaxy, and they could have lost that game. There was a late offside call that was debatable, but they could have lost against the Galaxy. So, and these midweek games, they've got a lot of stuff coming up. You had mentioned the congested schedule. The guys got to get into the trainer room and get taken care of. So, so before we head over to LA Galaxy, Chris, let's pay a couple of more bills, would you, buddy?
Tim, I'd love to. And our sponsor that I want to talk about right now are our friends at National Core. National Core is one of the nation's largest nonprofit affordable housing developers and a proud sponsor of your MASL team, the Empire Strykers. At National Core, they believe that soccer has the power to transform lives just like they do. And they believe in building strong communities on and off the field. Now, to learn more about National Core and their mission, you can go to nationalcore.org.
Man, it's almost like you're a voiceover actor, Chris. Dang, that's good stuff. Hey, let's move on to the Galaxy. And geez win. I'd say it a third time, but they only have 2 wins, so I won't say it a third time. But you know what? This was a good win. Let's get into the Diego Fagundez interview. So let's move to that right now.
Guest is a core part of MLS history. A New England Revolution legend. He played 261 times for the club, with whom he earned his first MLS start and goal, both at 16 years old. After arriving from Austin in 2023, he helped the LA Galaxy win last year's MLS Cup. Early in 2024, he became the youngest player ever to reach 400 regular season appearances and one of the youngest with 150 goal contributions. It's a joy to have with us the man who represented Uruguay at the youth level and has captained the Galaxy in both 24 and 25. Welcome to Soccer and 60, Mr. Diego Fagundez.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me, of course.
Absolutely. My man, at 16, I was still rocking Velcro shoes and slip-ons because tying my shoes was a task. You, on the other hand, were playing pro soccer. Amazing stuff. Happy to have you on, and let's get down to business.
Let's do it.
Galaxy had a big win this past Friday against Vancouver, which has really been one of the top sides in MLS. Nearly everyone on the Galaxy looked excellent. In fact, I'd say for the first time this season, it felt like one of those dominant games from last year. We know Joseph Painsil was inspired by his mom seeing him play for the first time in a decade, but what was it that allowed the entire team to thrive like that? It seemed like you guys were really feeling it out there.
I don't know what really got into us, but we knew we were at home. We knew that it's an honest question. You come in and we want to win every game, no matter what. And I think people think that we just come here and run around, kick the ball, and it is what it is. But I think pressure gets to everybody at some point. And when the season's not going the right way, all you can do is show up to every game and play. And that's what we've been doing. It hasn't been easy this year. It's been kind of a struggle with the results that we've been getting. But at the same time, we keep saying, we keep shooting ourselves in the foot. The other day in the locker room before the game, we said, coach said to us, make sure we walk out of here with what we deserve. This game, we don't want to leave anything behind. And I think everybody took that to heart and said, you know what, today is the game that we have to win. And everybody showed up. I think it was one of our best games this year, collectively. Like, everybody really stepped in. Everybody played defense. Everybody attacked. We were all focused. And that's what it takes in this league to win games, especially when you have a season the way it's going right now. You can win 2-3 games and turn things around. But at the same time, you need to give fans what they deserve because they've been there since day one.
Absolutely. The Vancouver game marked the 11th time in a row that Marco Reus has had at least one goal or assist, which means he's absolutely in fuego after many were ready to give up on him based on that slow start to his career in LA. As a midfielder yourself, first of all, what's it been like playing alongside him? And then what are you seeing from him that's allowing him to be so effective in MLS despite being up there in age?
Let's be honest. I think everybody knows what kind of player Marco is. Since his young age, he's been a superstar. He knows how to read the game very well. And when you play around with him on the field and even in training, sometimes he feels like he's playing at a different pace. Like, he's a little slower and stuff, but he knows how to read the game so well. There's moments in the games where I'm like, how are you passing this ball? Because he has the opportunity to shoot. He has the opportunity to take somebody on. But he looks for those passes. And it's kind of funny because we laugh at each other sometimes. We're like, we kind of play in a similar way. We give more assists than goals. And that's what kind of player we are. We just want to win. And I'm very grateful to play along with him and to have him as a teammate, as a friend. I think everybody knows the soccer side of him. But once you get to meet the outside and the locker room kind of guy that he is, the guy is top class. It's amazing to see everything he's accomplished and everything everywhere he's played. And now he's here, and just the type of guy he is. He's very friendly, gets along with everybody, is shy, but likes to joke around. But when he's on the ball in the games, it's he can make anything happen. And it's awesome to see. I'm glad he's very healthy right now, and which is huge for us. And I think his confidence is definitely rising game by game, and that's what we want from him.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of rising confidence, with this win over Vancouver, you guys now seem to have a bit of momentum going. After I was kind of looking at the schedule and the games that have happened recently, and before that, you got 4 points from your first 16 MLS games, and then you got 8 from your last 5, which means you got 1.6 in the last 5 on average. Before, it was 0.25. Huge difference, obviously. You also lost a lead at St. Louis where you arguably could have won the game. Your only loss since May 28th came in that weather delay game in Colorado. So you kind of almost want to throw that out a little bit. What's different now than it was earlier in the season when the confidence was so low and nothing seemed to be going your way? What's changed?
That's a tough question to answer because
Sorry.
I don't know if anything changed. I think at the end of the day, everybody just really knows that we all have to step up. It's not good enough. And at the beginning, I think we were really giving a lot of mistakes that we were getting punished. And games change when you make mistakes like that. I think in the last couple of games, I don't think we've made as many mistakes. We've made mistakes, of course, but I think we were able to cover ourselves where the other teams aren't scoring on us. So that's, I think, is a huge part. So we're not shooting ourselves in the foot. We're in every game. And like you said, I think the Colorado game, I think you put behind the weather delay. That didn't really help. But then after that, I think everybody really started stepping up and we're creating a lot of chances. Now we need to finish those chances. And I think a huge part of it is the confidence. Every player goes through a little streak where you either are scoring goals or you're not scoring goals. And we need those players to really try to get into the scoring positions. And I think the other day against Vancouver, Joe was one of those players that really stepped up for us. I thought, for my personal view in the field, Gabriel Peck, even though he wasn't an impact in goals, I told him I think that was one of his best games because the way he was working, the defensive work that he put in, that's what makes a great player. And if you can put the defensive work and your attacking work into it, you can be one of the best players in the league. And I think for him, I think that's what he needs to hear from us. But now everybody really needs to step up again. And we have a couple important games at home that we need to really come out with points. And if we want to really make a run and see what things go. But at the end of the day, it's game by day. We need to focus on what's next. And I think against DC, it's going to be another game that we need to step up and play the way we did against Vancouver. And if we do that, at the end of the day, we deserve the points that we're going to get.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. You transitioned me right into what I was going to ask you next, talking playoffs for a second. For one, I might be one of a few, but I still see a path. You have 4 games before Leagues Cup, right? There's 2 at home. They're winnable. You have 1 at Houston, and then you have El Tráfico. Anything can happen in El Tráfico. Let's say you get 10 points, right? It's not impossible to get 10 points if you keep the momentum going. And then it would take maybe 20 points from your final 9 games. Is that something you guys talk about? You could still make it in the end, or are you really just going game to game?
I think we're going more game to game. I think personally for myself, I think we still have I still believe that we can make it. I've been in teams where you had to win the last 6 to qualify. And in the 2014 run, when we lost to LA Galaxy here in New England, we had to win the last 6 and we did that. We had to go to Columbus, play there. And it's stuff like that. In this league, anything can happen. If we went on a 5 losing streak, you're going to tell me other teams can't do that? And we can't go on a 5 winning streak. Like things like that happen. And I think the most important thing is your home games, you have to win. And I think that's the number 1 priority for us. No matter if we're, no matter where you are in the standings, I think those are the games that you really have to focus on. And like you said, when you look at our schedule, I think there's games there that we can definitely take points and win those games. And then after we can sit down and really focus. Okay, can we make playoffs? I believe we can, but at the same time, it's the matter of taking it game by game, getting points, winning games. And then when you get closer to that, then, okay, can we really do a push? And that's the main thing. But I think there's still a long ways to go before we can even start talking about that. But like I said, I think we have important games coming up. Then we have Leagues Cup, so we have to focus on that. And at the end of the day, we can just go for a run in Leagues Cup as well. You want to get hot now, and this is the time that you really want to get hot. So if that's the case for us, it's going to be a perfect situation. But like I said, the most important thing is the next game and trying to win it at home. And then from there, keep looking game by game.
Having mentioned the Leagues Cup, let's get into everybody's favorite in-season tournament. Like, what are your thoughts? You said if you don't make playoffs, obviously there's a chance to win a trophy and give the season some significant meaning. With that being the case, y'all going to throw all your eggs in that basket? Or would you say the approach to it depends a bit on what happens in these next 4 MLS games?
Well, let's be honest. I think if you look at our schedule, there's a lot that we can still win. There's Campeones Cup, so our season's not over. That's the way. There's still cups to win, and right now everybody needs to focus on that and making sure that we stay healthy. Everybody's prepared. Everybody is feeling confident, scoring goals, and of course winning games. If you do that, then you go into Leagues Cup, and then things can change. You can win games. Maybe you go far in the tournament or win it all. You never know. But then you have Campeones Cup, and that's a cup that we would definitely love to win. It's one game, and it's at home. Like, what else can you expect? It's going to be against a top team in Mexico. But at the end of the day, the games are played on the field, and it's 22 guys playing against each other and with one ball, and whoever steps up that day is the winner. So we need to make sure we're ready for that. There's still a lot to play for, I think, this year. And but I think the number one thing is for the club, play for the badge, play for the team that you play for, show the passion, show your heart. And that's the number one thing. We have to go out there and just give 100% every game and make sure that the fans say, you know what, these guys are putting it all together. They're putting it all on the field. Even though we're not getting the results that we want, they're giving it all. And that's all we can ask. That's all they can ask from us. And we need to try to give them as much as we can back.
Talked a bit about the team. Let's talk about you personally. You're the youngest player to reach 400 MLS regular season appearances, second to Darlington Nagbe, who's almost 4 years older when he did it. You broke his record back in April. In the same game, you also earned your 150th goal contribution. In May, you then joined the club of those with at least 75 goals and 75 assists. Do you ever find it bizarre that you've reached all these milestones at just 30? I mean, we've been following you forever. I feel like you should probably be 40 with the amount of years I've seen you play. But that list of goals, so is there anything else you want to accomplish before the career is over?
There's a lot. I think the number one thing that I wanted to accomplish was to win MLS Cup. And I was able to do that, which is kind of a huge thing to check off the list. Because for me, I think you can have all these records and do all this and that. But if you don't have an MLS Cup, does it really matter, everything that you've done? And that's the question I always ask myself. And that's why winning an MLS Cup was something huge for me that I wanted to do. And now that I did that, I can put that aside. And now can I say, when can I win the next one? That's the real question. I want to win another one. I'm hungry for more. With goals, is the same way. I got the 75, which is kind of crazy to think that my numbers are still similar side by side. Some people have a lot of goals and a lot of assists, or some, vice versa. But for me, they're both right there. And it's kind of one of those things that I want to get to 80-80. And I want to do it for the end of the year. Will it happen? Who knows? At the end of the day, what I care more about is winning games. And if other things happen and I accomplish, then great. But then when I retire, I want to be able to say, you know what, I made it to 100, maybe more, hopefully, and look at the people that are next to me and say, all right, you know what, my career was good. I can hang my shoes off and be happy. But there's still a lot to still want. And like I said, I want to win at least one more MLS Cup, score more goals, more assists, hopefully more trophies. Maybe 5-6 years left in the career. Who knows? Maybe longer, depending on how I take care of my body and how my body feels. But like you said, playing for this long, I'm 30, but I feel like I'm 30-something sometimes. But when I'm playing, I don't feel old, which is nice. Yeah, I'm a little slower than I was when I was 18 and stuff. But soccer is played with our brain. We have to be smart in how you do. And I think Marco is a perfect player to look at, and the way he plays. He's not the fastest player like he was before, but he's smarter than a lot of people, and that's what kind of game I want to have.
I appreciate it. With the way you're going, I have no doubts that you're going to accomplish those goals. Again, thank you so much for your time today, Diego. Good luck on your individual goals this season, and of course, good luck to your team going forward. Much appreciate your time, and enjoy the rest of your day.
I appreciate you guys having me, and hopefully we'll catch you guys soon, and we can talk about other things later on.
Looking forward to when that day comes, my man.
Oh, that was awesome, man. What a great interview. Nice job, Philly. Nice job, Gunner.
Wow, Tim, I got to tell you, man, as an LAFC fan, it takes a lot for me to really get around and really come up and like a Galaxy player like that. But hey, rivalry aside, this is one of the good guys. He's somebody that I think is universally can be rooted for. And man, what a great interview. that must have been so much fun for you as a Galaxy fan to hear some of the things that he was saying, and just must have been really inspiring for you as a fan to hear that.
For sure. What I liked a lot about it is he touched on a few different things. Obviously there is a lot to play for the Galaxy this season. They could come home with a couple of trophies. And Gunnar mentioned it. I've been kind of the naysayer, even though with being the Galaxy homer, was that they did not have a chance. But the way Gunnar put it into perspective, that if they do come out of the next several games with 10 points and they only need 20 in the last 9, that they could potentially make the playoffs, man, that's a lot of confidence. And in my rundown for the notes, I've got them winning the next 2 games. I mean, DC United comes into the house, into Dignity Health Sports Park this weekend. They get both of the next 2 games at home. And it's a lot. They've got DC United comes in, who's, while they're 12th in the conference, couple of spots up on the Galaxy, they're a minus 22 goal differential, which is just atrocious. And the Galaxy are only minus 20, if you want to put it in that perspective. So they've got a lot of stuff that they've got going on. And with DC coming in, they fired their coach, right?
They did. And look, here's the thing. It's all about, for the Galaxy, how they respond. After their first win, they kind of went back to their ways, I think, with a draw or a loss afterwards. So it wasn't really that launching pad that they were hoping for. But I love the optimism from Diego there in that interview. And I think really, if you're the Galaxy, you've got to start looking at things like Leagues Cup or bust at this point, because I don't see the MLS playoffs in their future for this season. And look, just because right now they'd have to more than double their points total just to make it to where the 9th place team is currently. Mm-hmm. And also, you have 6 other teams in front of you that you need to completely fall apart. So not only do they have to get so many extra points just to make it to that where that threshold is now, they're going to need a lot of help and a lot of faltering from other teams ahead of them, which I really just don't see that happening, because there's way too many variables at play for it to turn their way.
I'm right there with you. I've been saying it for a while, and I said it on a La Cuna Galaxiana podcast a few weeks ago, that it's a no for me. I mean, I love the optimism, because you have to have it as a professional athlete. You're going to want to go out and you're going to want to win the next, 15 games in a row. And that's awesome. And that's the way you should take it every week and game by game. I think it's just a little too long of a road to hoe. However, there is some disarray in DC United. And then also, if you look ahead to next Wednesday, because they've got another short week, Austin is, they're currently 9th in the West, like you just mentioned.
Yep.
Austin's got a problem too, right? Austin just lost their leading scorer, Brandon Vazquez, Tuesday night to a torn ACL in the Earthquakes game. And this is a guy that's got 9 goals across all competition, 5 in league play. And this is a big problem, because their next leading scorer has only got 2 biscuits in the basket. And so could we be looking at 3-game winning streak by the time we talk to you again next week, Chris?
Well, I got to say, the attitude from Diego Fagundez is what his coach told him, what Greg Vanney told them was, let's walk out of here with what we deserve, to quote Greg Vanney. And with that attitude, they're going to be going for it. So I can't predict what they'll do, but I can guarantee they'll be giving 100% effort. That's all I can give them.
And that's all you can do, right? And it's face the challenge that's ahead of you and face the day with what's given to you. Don't think 2 weeks ahead. Don't think 5 weeks ahead. Think the next practice. I have a buddy of mine that cycles 100 miles at a clip, and people ask him all the time. He's like, how do you do that? And he goes, well, the next way station is only 5 miles away. That's all I think about. And that's what the Galaxy have to do. So, but as we transition, let's move over to the Strykers, Chris. And there's, even though it's the off season, there's a lot of stuff going on. So you Striker fans, if you haven't done it, there's a ton of ways to really get involved with the Strykers. So let's talk about this last season. And then at the end of the segment, we'll get into the way that you can really get involved with the Strykers. So let's talk about our good buddy, Leo Espinoza.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some stats here, and Leo, I've met the guy a couple of times outside of the ring, outside of the turf, and Leo is just a good human. But what Leo did is he came in late in the season, and he got into 9 games. And one of the things that Leo brought to the team, Chris, was a very physical backstopper. He held up a lot of the play.
Yep.
And the Strykers, for the most part, they didn't have any of it last year. They were like a, Swiss cheese defense. I can't even call them cheesecloth the year before. But what Leo did and getting them into that playoff push was really big, holding up their forwards, and then not having to have Justin Stinson, not having to have Marco Fabian come all the way back check all the way back to the into the penalty area, all the way back to Brandon Gomez and Brian Orozco. And so they could stay up a little bit higher and get on the breakout, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, when you have a hold up forward like Leo Espinoza up there, I think what we talked about with LAFC, how they're spreading the wealth around now and getting a lot of people in there, it's kind of the same with what Espinoza brought here and took a lot of the defensive pressure off of guys like Stinson and Fabian and everybody else that maybe we were relying on almost too much. We were able to kind of take some heat off of them, allow more opportunities for them while still contributing a lot. I mean, look, 9 goals and not even a full season with us. That's, it was a great showing for Espinoza.
Yeah. And like you said, great showing. I mean, in 9 games, the guy gets 12 points. He's got seven goals, 5 assists. I mean, 1.3 points per game. That's pretty good for a guy coming in with limited experience with the guys. And so let's talk about Marco and not Royce. Well, let's talk about Marco Fabian, who, again, only the second season that he's played indoor, and he was lights out again. He didn't have to contend for the Golden Boot winner that he did the previous season, but he only ended up scoring 6 less points because he had so many other people around him, Chris, that could, compensate for these extra goals.
And that's why we saw a lot more team success this past season than we did in Marco's first season, was because some of the heat was off of him, which allowed other guys to step up and contribute as well, while still allowing Marco to really be a presence out on the turf for us there. I mean, a fantastic showing from Marco. It's the Marco that we all know and love, and nothing fell off, even though other people were getting their opportunities. A rising tide lifts all boats, Tim, and I think that's what we were seeing with the Empire Strikers in 2025.
That is true, and Marco was definitely a major uplift to the entire team. And Stinson had the career year. You had multiple guys have career years, and for him to do that and still be an all-star, not having to be the guy that carries everybody, is pretty impressive. So I'm pretty happy with that one. And let's get on to our good buddy Brandon. Brandon Gomez had just an incredible year, not only with the Strykers, but we'll get into a little bit of his other accolades after we talk about his season. But in the new style that Coach Obasi brought into the team, it really allowed for the offensive tactics to come into play for the goalkeepers for the Strykers this year, Chris, right?
It did. I think because what we were seeing was that our goalkeepers weren't getting pounded because our forward attack was able to help so much and eat up a lot of time, give our keepers a lot of time to regroup, help see the field, and do their best job at being more kind of ring generals out there, right? Field generals, and helping to really guide everything, and then not have to be on the defensive as much as they were in previous years. So everything just really helped the offense help the defense and vice versa. And I think that's why we were able to see our keepers, especially Brandon Gomez, thrive last year.
Yeah, with a couple of goals and a few assists. I mean, you don't see that out of goalkeepers ever inside the one assist. Sorry about that. You don't see that. in the indoor game. And with the new strategic layout of the team that Coach Abassi has put in, it's been fantastic. So really fun to see. So I had mentioned it at the top of the segment about community involvement. The Strykers are everywhere, and it's unbelievable. One of the cool things that the owner of the team, Jeff Burham, has made it a priority for the team to get out and be with the community, get involved with camps. We mentioned it on last week's show. There's a gigantic camp coming up. There's one coming up next week in the city of Ontario. Go to the website, go to the Empire Strykers, Strykers with a Y, theempirestrykers.com. Sign up, sign your kids up for these events. Go see them when they're in the community. And here's one of the other cool things, Chris, that you can do as a member of the community. Volunteer.
Yeah.
Volunteer to be game day people. You get game perks. You get free seats to the game for your fam or friends. You can develop both personal and business connections. And and what's more than who doesn't want free stuff, Chris?
Well, Tim, I've gone actually to a couple of Strykers games and volunteered myself just to help out with things throughout the game even. And I'll tell you what, I've had a blast. And they're a first-class organization. They really help everybody out. They help out a lot in the community. And that good spirit kind of shines through with how they run their operation on game day as well. It's a team that you're kind of proud to volunteer for. So I'd encourage everyone as well. Great point, Tim.
Yep. And dig it. And let's move on to Angel City. There is big stuff coming out of Angel City, Chris. You and I talked about this earlier in the day. Big, giant signing for Angel City as they announced today the signing of Evelyn Shores from the U23 U.S. Women's National Team.
This is one that gets me so excited. I'll tell you what, just when you read about just the accolades that she's bringing into here, I think the excitement that she has for joining Angel City is contagious. If you watched the Instagram, Angel City's Instagram introduction of her, you just get that sense that, yeah, she wants to be here. She's fired up to be here. And man, that's what, this team needs. This team has such a good reputation as far as how much players love being here. And I love that you're getting somebody in here already buying in, already excited to be a part of what Angel City offers, and has a lot of talent to bring in and a lot to offer the team in return.
Yeah, and she's just 20 years old. She doesn't turn 21 until late this year. So the youth movement continues to stay young. I mean, the number of players that Angel City has in that 19, 20, 21, under 23 range, they're stacking this team for the long term. They're playing well now. The head coach has got it together. Mark Parsons, the technical director, has got it together. And if we stay on Evelyn just for 2 more seconds, you want to talk about, you mentioned accolades?
I sure
2024 NCAA champion.
Yeah, and an integral part of that as well for the Tar Heels. I mean, so it's exciting to see that Angel City's bringing in players who have championship pedigrees to them. But also, let's look back to what we were just talking about a few weeks ago, Tim, and last month with the TST, the soccer tournament there.
Oh.
For the women's team, she did pretty well in that, wouldn't you say?
I would say that she had a pretty reasonable tournament there.
Yeah, and by that, what I'm alluding to is that Evelyn Shores had the game-winning goal in the championship game of the TST tournament. So, this is a winner. This is a winner. This is the type of player that Angel City needs. And so it's one that, as a fan, I'm certainly excited about. Tim, I think every fan's got to be excited about for what she brings. This is one that just gets me thrilled because, I love the roster that we have already, but this is just an injection of energy that this team really needs to catapult and start really chasing those championships and start solidifying themselves, not just as a team favorite place to play, but as a league powerhouse, which I believe they could be.
Yep, I agree with you. And the reason why there's so much non-game day things for Angel City is they are on an extended break. There's a lot of international break right now, so they don't play again until the end of the month. which is a friendly. But right now, you do still have players playing at the European level. We've got Svendis Jane is playing for Iceland. And Iceland has had a pretty tough go of it in the Women's European Championships. But Svendis has played all 3 games, and she got one of the biscuits in the basket this morning just 5 minutes into the game. Now, Iceland did end up losing this game late on a couple of but the last 20 minutes, Chris, were just incredible. Watching the game, watching the both Norway and Iceland go at it toe to toe, basically, the last 20 minutes or so was just a sight to be seen.
Tim, when I watch club players for clubs that I watch playing in international tournaments, of course, I always root for them to win and to do really well and for success on that end. But what I always look at is what's it gonna be like for them when they return to the club? What are they going to get? What experience are they going to get from these tournaments? And I have to think that with everybody playing in these international tournaments, when they come back to league play, they are going to be so much better off. They're going to be more battle tested. And there's that phrase we used again, the rising tide lifts all boats. And I think that this is going to be great news once Angel City comes back from their extended break for international duty. I got to say, just like Diego Fagundez was optimistic about the future for the Galaxy, I've got to be really optimistic about Angel City's future.
For sure. When the internationals all come back, when they come back and they realize that the level of play isn't that far off, and they can bring up the rest of the team at Angel City because they've got the talent to be playing at this level. And it's full speed ahead for Angel City, and I know that Nina Kay, no relation, is bummed that she's not part of the show this week, but she was texting me earlier and just saying, hey, this is great stuff for Angel City, and she is just fired up for the upcoming year. So,
yeah, I think all the fans are. So it is certainly an exciting time for us, Tim.
Yep. So let's move over to Orange County, and we were on the air last week when Orange County was playing Loudoun United, and the game was, and I mentioned this to Gunnar a little earlier in the day, and he didn't quite understand it, but this was a beat you up in the park kind of game there, Chris. It was, the guys just came out fighting immediately. We had Nico Ben Alcazar on the show a few weeks ago, and he takes a yellow card 5 minutes into the game, and he was setting the tone right away because Orange County, the past 5-6 games, have been getting beaten up. They're getting more fouls. When you look at the stat lines, you'll see that Orange County will have fouled the other guys 8-9 times, but Orange County's getting fouled 15, 16, 17 times, and that's a lot. So one of the things that really helped in this game, besides the 3 yellow cards for each team, was a red card for Loudoun in the 32nd minute. And I being a former referee, I got to tell you a couple of things about this one. The referee was on top of this play, and he immediately gave a yellow card, ran in, blew his whistle really hard. But what I really liked about it is that the assistant referee gave him a signal, looked at him, made eye contact. And there's 2 signals when you think there's a foul, and that it's a cautionable offense or a throw you out of the game offense. And this particular assistant referee put his hand on his back hip, put it on the back pocket, which meant go to the back pocket and pull out the red card. And that, I think, because people don't realize that there are 3 teams on the field, right? You've got home team, away team, and then you have the referee team. So I think they did a really good job of making this happen. And because there's no VAR in the USL, and there's poor VAR in MLS, I'll just say that out loud. I think this was great to see that the team of referees that have refereed the games together a few different times, they knew what to talk about, Chris.
Well, that's what I was going to mention, Tim. Without having VAR in the USL, it definitely leads to having your referees need to be in sync with each other and in communication. And that's a cheeky little trick I'll have to look out for when I watch my USL games from now on, Tim. Thank you for that insight as far as the referees go. But, I think it's very important in games like that. You mentioned all of the fouls that were committed against Orange County lately and just how they've been getting beat up physically with the style of play from some of their opponents. And, well, a lot of times it's up to the officials to really get a hold of the game themselves. And if not, it can get out of the way. It can get out of hand pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And then Orange County would probably find themselves in the on the back foot when they try to go ahead and stick up for themselves. Now all of a sudden the refs are seeing, oh, we can't let this go out of hand, and have both teams start committing fouls. So then it starts to clamp down on them. And then unfortunately, they're the ones who just end up getting picked on. So I'm glad to see that the officials were able to kind of rein it in.
Yeah, it was good. So up next for Monterey or for the Orange County guys, County boys, is Monterey, and they're on the road. And it's tomorrow night. So make sure you get to the TV early. Make sure you cut out of work. Make sure you've got the game on. You got some food in front of you. You may or may not have your favorite beverage right next to you, but the game's at 6:00, and it is on ESPN Plus. So make sure that you're a member of that. But they're playing Monterey. Monterey is pretty good at home. They got 4 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. But Monterey has had a pretty tough time of it lately, Chris. They are 1 win and 4 big giant red L's on the stat sheet in their last 5 games. So I know it's a quick week for everybody because Monterey played on Saturday, but I think the County boys are going to come up, and tomorrow night at 6:00, make sure that the County boys are ready for this one, right, Chris?
Well, it should be a good one because I'll tell you what, Orange County is eager for a win, and they're looking to show what they've got, but also they're going to go on the road at Monterey playing at their house, who are just dying for a win. So, they're going to be playing desperate. It should be a showdown. So I'm excited for this matchup, actually, Tim.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun. And it will be a 6-point game because if the County boys wins, they will jump ahead of them by 1 point in the standings. So
that's a big swing. Very
all
important.
right, Chris, it's your first time doing this. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you fired up?
I am so fired up, Tim. We were originally going to go with an Elite 6 because we figured, there wasn't just too much happening here in the league. But we said, no, people are playing so well that we're going to have to field the full best 11 for LA.
And this is a good one this week. We've got as your goalkeeper, Novak Micevic, against the Caps, against the Whitecaps. Then we've got your defenders. We've got Maya Yoshida, Amiro Garces, also both against the Vancouver Whitecaps. Ryan Dogman. Ryan played a great game against Loudoun. You got Timothy Tillman. You got come on, you got to help me with this one, buddy.
Or the newcomer to LAFC, Javairo Dilrosin. LAFC picked him up from Liga MX shortly right before the Club World Cup.
Yep. And then you got Mark Delgado, all against Colorado. You got Marco Reus, who was just sick against the Whitecaps. And then you got Denny Bawanga, and then you got Nathan Ordaz, both against Colorado.
That's
and
right.
Then you have,
Razzle Dazzle scoring himself a goal last night.
Right. And then you got Joseph Paintsill, Galaxy versus the Whitecaps. It's just amazing. So what do you think of the team, man? What do you think?
Hey, look, like I said, we had to make all those 11 spots available because, well, all those guys played great. 2-3-0 victories for both teams there. I mean, that says a lot there. Clean sheets for both goalies. Both can make a case there. And look, 5 LAFC, 5 Galaxy. It's a good mix, and I'd say it was really balanced the way that both teams played. And I think well-deserved that you really couldn't deviate much from that as well. And congrats to Ryan Dogman, too. You said he played a great game, getting himself on there as the one Orange County representative for that. Got to be really proud of that.
Yeah, Ryan played really, really well. Ryan's having a great game. He doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, but I tell you, if you just watch that kid play, I like to say he's got a lot of dog in him because he's one of those guys that just gets after it every game, and he's a pest. He's one of those guys that you don't like to play against because he's strong on the ball. He's a strong defender. He can make the play. And you look at guys like that, and then you look at a guy like Timothy Tillman, he's just dropping dimes on things in the for LAFC. It's just really, really cool.
Yeah, well, with LAFC's midfield, that was kind of the one shaky ground I'd say that we had in the beginning of the season, with two newcomers and Timothy Tillman joining him. We had Igor Jesus, who's been on this list before. He's been new to the midfield, still a young guy. Great contributions, but a couple of young mistakes as well throughout the season. Overall, playing a great season. Our mutual friend, I would say, Mark Delgado, in that midfield, shoring it up, allows guys like Timothy Tillman to really shine with more of a finesse game. And like we talked about earlier, he had an assist in last night's game against Colorado. So, guys like in the midfield, when you watch that develop for LAFC, that creates a lot of optimism for the team going forward, knowing that, great, maybe our the weakest of the three fronts or the three lines is now really being shored up. So you love to see Timothy Tillman making a list like this, because it just shows the work that he's put in to really elevate and improve his game in this season.
Yeah, and then you've got young kids like Nathan Ordaz for LAFC. Just right place, right time. But I tell you what, man, if you're one of the local players, you got to get on Soccer in 60, because he came on and the very next game he had a biscuit in the basket, and he's just been on fire since. So, I'm just kind of promoting the show a little bit. But then Joseph Paintsill is I think he's finally healed from the quad injury.
Hey, but you know what, though? Here's one thing that was excellent that you love to see regarding Joseph Paintsill. He had his mom watching that game in person for the first time in a decade. And, man, if that doesn't warm your heart, I don't know what will. You might as well be playing in those Colorado February away matches that we had to deal with earlier, because that's how cold you are. But, man, I got to say, it's great for a guy like Joseph Paintsill, who's been working so hard, to have that experience with his mom in the crowd.
Yeah, it couldn't be better. And with that, hey, Chris, it's been awesome hanging out with you on our on your favorite footy show of record on Thursday afternoons. I appreciate the tiki shirt with you if you're watching us on YouTube and the Instagram feed on Empire Strykers. We've got the tiki stuff working. So
the pleasure.
Thanks very much. The podcast is available on all your podcast platforms. Everything's streaming. Look us up. Look up Soccer in 60. Tell your mom. Tell your brother. Tell your enemies. I don't care. Just have people watching the show. Thanks, Chris. And this has been Soccer in 60.